Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP is getting a divorce over Mr. Beast. Am I the butthole for threatening to divorce my husband over Mr. Beast? I'm a 24-year-old woman, and I am seriously at my wit's end. My husband, who's 26, is partially deaf from DJing in his teens and early 20s, so he needs things louder to hear them. But what I don't get is why that has to mean that I'm involuntarily listening to Mr. Beast yelling about burying himself alive, or giving away $10,000 to strangers at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. He watches Mr. Beast videos on his phone at like 100% volume. I'm not even joking. He'll put on a video while he's in the shower, phone just blasting on the bathroom counter, and I can hear it clearly from 2 floors down. And it's always Mr. Beast, not different YouTubers, just him, constantly. Same loud vibe, same chaotic energy, every day. I've asked him to wear headphones, he doesn't like them. I suggested subtitles. He doesn't want to read while relaxing. I even bought a small Bluetooth speaker, thinking maybe it would help if the sound was directional or just a bit better quality. Nope. He says he prefers listening from the phone speaker. After the 3rd time this week that I got woken up by "last to leave the circle wins $500,000" echoing through the frickin' walls, I kinda snapped and said, half joking, "If I hear one more Mr. Beast video at full volume, I'm filing for divorce." Now he's sulking, saying I don't respect his hobbies or his hearing issues. But honestly, it's not just the volume, it's the content. I think it's childish. He's almost 30. Why is a grown man obsessed with videos for 14-year-olds with zero attention span? I love him, but I just want peace and quiet in my own home. I'm tired of feeling like I live inside of a YouTube thumbnail. Am I the butthole? I'm giving the boyfriend 1.5 out of 5 buttholes for being inconsiderate to his girlfriend. However, I also think OP deserves like 0.5 out of 5 buttholes because she's judging her boyfriend just because he likes a certain YouTuber. What's the big deal? What exactly should he be listening to at 26? World War II podcast? Would that make it any better if you got woken up to some guy describing the D-Day invasion for the 50,000th time? Am I the butthole for poking fun at my cousin's divorce after she insulted my wedding? I'm a 29-year-old woman, and I got married at 20. My husband and I were young, desperately in love, and super broke. I was never one to want a big wedding, so we kept it small. I'll admit, my cousin, who's 36, helped a ton with the decorations. I'm not one to be super into all that stuff. I was fine with it just looking a little plain. But she wanted to make the day special for me, and I appreciated it. I sang her praises the entire day, paid her for helping me after the fact, and literally made a speech the day of the wedding how grateful I was for her. I should also note that she got married a few months before me in an extremely lavish, extremely expensive wedding. Her wedding day was actually perfect, and everyone still talks about it. However, she got divorced 4 years ago. I'm unsure what has caused this, but now, anytime we're together, she makes fun of my wedding. She mocks how small it was. She mocks how corny the venue was. She insults my bridesmaids and my husband's family and how useless they were the day of. I normally don't react because honestly, I don't care about her opinion. However, today we were at a large Father's Day gathering with all my family. From the second she saw me, she just started ragging on my wedding to her new boyfriend. I'm not sure why, but something in my brain just flipped and I said, well, at least I'm still married. Everyone in the family is upset with me. They said I went below the belt with that comment, but absolutely no one has ever checked her for insulting me over and over and over. Am I the butthole? I actually have interesting facts about this. The more you spend on a wedding, the more likely you are to get divorced. This is backed up by science. I've got the numbers. If you spend $2,000 to $4,000 on a wedding ring, you are 1.3 times more likely to get divorced than someone who spends less than $2,000 on a wedding ring. Also, if you spend over $20,000 on a wedding, you are 1.6 times more likely to get divorced than someone who spends less than $20,000 on a wedding. Still, OP, I'm on your side. You can only harass someone for so long before they eventually clap back. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your clearly jealous cousin 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my husband that I already knew he cheated on me? A week and a half ago, I was on my husband's phone to order something on Amazon. There was a notification from a number I didn't recognize. I clicked on it, and there were months worth of flirty texts, inappropriate pictures, and she even asked him to come to her apartment a few times. I knew I couldn't stay with him because he was a cheater, obviously, but I couldn't break things off immediately. We have 3 kids together, a 5-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 2-month-old, and I don't want him to get the kids because we signed a prenup because he had some money that he wanted to protect. I was scared that a judge would give him custody because he can afford to take care of them better, but the prenup had a clause where it's dissolved if he's unfaithful. I wasn't going to do anything crazy. I just wanted to find a lawyer before mentioning anything to him. But yesterday, he told me about the cheating and apologized. I told him I knew about it already. He got mad at me for not telling him sooner. He told me oh my God. He told me I'm ruining our family by keeping secrets from him. Like, okay, hypocrite much? But anyways, now I'm also wondering if I should forgive him since he came clean. I still want our kids to grow up normal. I don't want a broken home for them. If he was willing to tell me and to apologize, could we still make things work? Am I the butthole for not telling him I knew sooner? Will I be the butthole if I still divorce him after he told me about it? Yo, this guy's mad at you because you kept his secrets? Oh God, the hypocrisy almost feels worse than the cheating, but yeah. Still, let's not forget, this guy was cheating on her right when OP was having birth because the text went back months and months and OP has a 2-month-old, which means while OP was pushing out the baby, he was texting with his sweetie pie. So this is actual scum human being material. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Divorce him. I don't think there's any coming back from this. I'm giving the hypocritical cheater 4 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my father-in-law that he can't hump the floor at my house or in my presence? It's a crazy title, and I wish it weren't true, but here we are. My father-in-law, who's in his late 50s, is known for being very playful. Goofy, some would even say. Well, him, my mother-in-law, and my 3 siblings-in-law came to stay with my husband and I at our home and to see our new baby. For context, my mother and father-in-law are in their late 50s, me, my husband, and my siblings-in-laws are all in our late 20s, and our baby is 7 months old. Well, our baby was put to bed, and we were all in the living room area hanging out, doing stretches, just casually talking, when my father-in-law decided that it would be funny to start humping the ground out of nowhere. And unfortunately, it was directly in front of me, not my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law and I looked at each other in shock, while his kids all laughed and chuckled. My father-in-law made it clear that the gesture was meant for his wife, despite it being directly in front of me, with eye contact. So we dropped it. The night passed, they left town, and after a few days of not being able to shake the image in my head, I decided to talk with my husband about how uncomfortable it made me, along with all the other sexual jokes that he makes about us being married, etc. There's been this big divide now on how I'm always ruining the fun, how it was just a joke and not a sexual gesture, and how I'll always find a problem when my husband's family is in town. His family thinks this. However, when I speak with my mom, my sister, my cousins, or anyone on my side of the world, they see my father-in-law's jokes and gestures as totally inappropriate. My father-in-law tried to make the point that I've done TikTok dances in his home, and he's never felt uncomfortable because he knows they're harmless, and that it's not fair for me to judge him about this versus knowing his intent, which was to just make a joke. My point is, even though I'm not on TikTok and I don't post videos, everything I've done is able to be posted online. Him slow stroking the ground is not. My husband got mad at me for not seeing it as a joke, and so did the other married siblings who were in the room that were raised by my father-in-law. Well, that's the big risk about jokes, and being silly and goofy, is that some people will find it funny and will be totally okay with it, but every once in a while you're going to run into people who are not okay with it. And when you make a joke, you have to be willing to accept that possible consequence. You think it's funny? Great, I'm happy for you. I don't. So don't do it in my house, please. That's completely reasonable. Though, to be fair, I think this is a not funny, inappropriate joke just in general. Very weird, gross behavior that I think everyone has just gotten accustomed to and they feel like it's normal, even though it's not normal. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your father-in-law 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for tipping 83 cents? I went out to dinner with my wife last night. When the bill came, I gave the waitress my card. She came back shortly after, looking upset. She slapped the card down on the table and said, "Declined." I thought her tone and brevity was rude. I took out a different card from my wallet and handed it to her. While I was putting the first card in my wallet, she didn't move. I looked at her and said, "You okay?" She said, "If I go back and try to run this, are you still going to be sitting here when I get back?" I asked her if she thought that her tone was appropriate for speaking to customers. She said, "You're only a customer if you pay." I asked to speak to her manager. She left with my card. My wife said that maybe the waitress had encountered scammers before and was anxious about it. I said being rude and being cautious are two different things. The waitress returned with my card and the receipt. She said, "This one worked. I'm sorry." I thanked her and took the booklet. Our bill was $91.17. I wrote in 83 cents at the tip, so $92 total. I handed it back to her and started to get up to leave. She said, "You're really not going to tip me?" I said, "No, you were rude to me." She said, "I have to tip out the bartender and the busboy. I just paid money to serve you." I said, "Well, in the future, you shouldn't be so rude." My wife thinks that I was the butthole to the waitress, and I should have given her $10 at least, because it was an honest misunderstanding. I would have given her $28.83 if she wasn't rude to me, but I don't want to pay to be insulted. Was I the butthole? For the record, I called my bank and the card was flagged for fraud because of a pending $1 charge that's often associated with fraud attempts. I resolved it. You know, the thing I have to point out is that even by the waitress's own logic, she's still a butthole. Because if you handed her a scam card, which is what she believes, why wouldn't you leave when you give her the scam card, right? Why would you give her a scam card and then just stick around waiting to get caught with a scam card? It doesn't make any sense. OP, I think you tipped her 83 cents too much. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving her 1 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the waitress 0.83 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my mom that her husband is just the guy she cheated on my dad with? I'm a 27-year-old woman, and my parents divorced when I was 10 because my mom had an affair. How do I know? Because her affair partner turned husband was also married, and his wife showed up at our house after the affair came out, and she yelled about it all over the place. She had to be removed by the cops, and she showed up a few more times over the next 2 years. My mom blamed my dad that I found out until I was 14, and I told her I wasn't deaf and I could hear that woman outside our house, and I wasn't too young to understand what it meant. My relationship with mom was strained by her affair, and I don't give an F about her husband. He never had kids and tried to play the dad role, but I shut him out and put him in his place whenever he tried, by reminding him that I have a dad and he doesn't get to take me from dad like he took mom. And yeah, I know nobody can take another person. It was my mom's choice and her fault too. But still, it felt extra insulting to try and play parent when he helped destroy my family and my dad's marriage to my mom. My dad died when I was 19. It was a very tense time in my relationship with my mom because I didn't tell her. She found out after Dad's funeral. A part of me was glad because I didn't want her to come to the funeral, and I certainly didn't want her there with her husband. My mom was hurt and acted like I owed it to her to let them come so they could be there for me. I told her their support wasn't wanted right then, especially not after losing my dad. Even still, she believed that her husband would become the father figure I no longer had with Dad gone, and they both expected he would be given father of the bride honors at my wedding. Instead, I asked my grandpa, and my mom blew a fuse when she found out. She asked me what the hell I was thinking, and her husband has been there, raising me since I was 10, and he's more to me than just some random guy. I told her she was partly right. He's just the guy she cheated on my dad with, nothing more. My mom said that was a childish and vindictive way to describe him, and that I need to get the F over it and appreciate how hard he tried with me. She said it's like I'm trying to punish them for the affair when it had nothing to do with me. I told her this isn't a punishment, it's a consequence, and she has to live with those consequences, same way he does. She's still going crazy about me saying that I don't feel bad, but questioned if maybe I was a bit of a butthole for telling her that. So maybe? I'm not really sure if I agree with OP's mom's statement that the affair had nothing to do with OP, because if you're in a marriage with a family with kids and you cheat, then it does affect the kids almost necessarily. So she chose to betray OP's father and also OP, just the whole family unit. So she should suffer the consequences. OP, I'm on your side. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your mom 3 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.